Hello from Virginia Beach on the east coast of America. The ability to learn has never been greater. The availability of knowledge and the capacity to access it has been increasing exponentially. Richardson notes that 2 billion people were able to go online in 2012, with 5 billion people projected in 2020. Such availability of knowledge and technology has changed the way workplaces function and students interact with educators. Kalantzis and Cope in 2012 identified this reality as new learning. They see a need for formal education to take notice of 8 dimensions of learnings they have identified so that they can formulate new theories and practices. The ease of access to this technology to provide learning experience with or without formal education is enormous. Its influence over the last 20 years has seen huge upheavals in the economic and social dynamics of most Western societies. Richardson quotes Kansas State University professor Michael Welch's description of the world to say this: ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous information, ubiquitous networks of unlimited speed about everything, everywhere, from anywhere, on all kinds of devices, just like this one, and wasn't in there, that make it ridiculously easy to connect, organize, share, collect, collaborate, and publish. This would appear to resonate with many educators, causing them to reconsider the methods or at least change their understanding of knowledge available to students beyond the classroom. Learning has to be seen as lifelong, given this changing dynamic world. There are many authors such as Kalantzis and Cope and Richardson who are focused on the nature of the shifting dynamics of the world and its potential impact on the skills required for future education. They base their work on the varying hypotheses of the drivers of change. Kubik, for example, sees an impact arising from our global borderless economy, with a workforce requiring new kinds of workers with skills for complex tasks and leading-edge results. He goes on to note that current training platforms based on the traditional methods cannot prepare people adequately for such jobs, a current theme not only in the literature but also in political rhetoric around the world. Australians, our education is seen not only as a right but as a fundamental to the future of our nation. Various governments have proposed and implemented pathways forward as a result. The current K-12 education plan of the Australian government is a plan to put students first and improve their education outcomes in our schools. We want students to have a quality education with access to the best teachers, an up-to-date and relevant curriculum, and for the people who know them best, their parents, teachers, principals and the community, to be able to make informed decisions that will affect their education. There would appear, though, to be a serious lack in any policy agenda to focus on the opportunities created by the drivers of change that are affecting educators and institutions that deliver these relevant curriculums. It is logical that we need not only relevant curriculums, but also relevant methodologies of delivery beyond the traditional platforms. The Khan Academy is an example of an organisation that has been able to capitalise on the technologies available to deliver them through their motto, anyone can learn. Another example close to home was my son's elementary teacher, who sent home a link to a YouTube video which read him a story and welcomed him into the first grade, preparing him for all that was ahead for him for this next number of months, years, and the next whatever it is. New learning as a concept on the surface would appear to be redundant. The definition of education as formalised learning appears to be of little value, as learning in any context is educational from a traditional viewpoint. However, when you contrast the changing socio-political and technological forces that face our education institution, I think it's got much to offer. New learning then is a way to be able to draw attention to the ways of navigating a pathway forward and thereby achieving better outcomes for our students. It may also be of assistance to help give substance to the general feeling that many people have that something is wrong with our education systems and move them away from the general focus of what was, in terms of the 3 R's, to what may be. In addition to Kalantzis and Cope's 8 dimensions of new learning, it is clear that we need to consider the factors that are actually driving, or the forces of change that are creating these new dimensions. In doing so, Davies, Feidler and Gorbis have identified 6 drivers of change that governments, teachers, curriculum writers and government and policy makers need to consider as they prepare people for the skills they will require post-formal education. There is little consensus amongst many of the authors as to what these drivers might actually be. However, there is one common thread that continues through most of the authors, and that is the rise of technology and its impact and influence upon the community. This presentation seeks to focus on Kalantzis and Cope's dimension of learning they identify as learner differences. We'll be doing that within the context of Davies, Feidler and Gorbis's 2 change drivers of new media ecology and superstructured organisation. With that in mind, I now hand you back to my esteemed Australian-based colleagues, Jen and Brian, who will continue on with this presentation. Good night from here in Virginia Beach. Hope to see you soon.